What's up, guys? Jason Guyman here tonight. Have you ever wondered how the pros hung Christmas lights and make it look so amazing and pretty and awesome? And have you ever wondered why yours doesn't look that way? Well, tonight I'm going to show you the 5 to 6 things that you need to make your homes look amazing when you get done with the whole job at the end of the day. And so I'm going to walk through all of the pieces that you need to make your homes look amazing. You know, when I first started doing this 12 years ago, actually 13 years ago, I always wondered, I used to hate doing Christmas lights, and I always wondered, how do they make the lights so perfect, and how do we get them down so fast? And so tonight, I'm going to walk you through the stuff that you need. I'm going to show you the differences in some of the stuff and how it's going to make your life a lot easier of hanging Christmas lights. And so with that, I am back to what book I have for this week. It's called, again, Endless Customers. One of the things that came out this week is, if you haven't heard or haven't seen, and you can look it up, is called Google AI. And I know a lot of people get a lot of business off of Google. And what I will tell you, if you go to Google AI mode, which I will say how Google will work, will take everybody to Google AI mode eventually, you're not going to be showing up. They literally don't show links of any websites. So this book here is going to help you start showing up, to make sure that you show up when you start typing Google AI. And again, I know sometimes people are like, not worried about that, but I'm telling you, it is changing more and more. And again, this just came out 3 days ago. It was talked about, and I'd seen it a little while ago, but it's actually rolling out now. And just 2 days ago, it just started rolling out of the Google AI. And one of the things that I will tell you that Google AI that I've noticed is hitting on in the importance of reviews. So that's all I'm going to say for that, because that's not what this video is about. I'm going to talk about the 5 pieces, 6 things that you need to be able to do professional looking Christmas lights, so that way you can hang Christmas lights, whether you want to hang them on your own house or you want to start a business doing this. Again, as you watch tonight and listen, you will learn how to be able to understand all of the stuff that you need for your business. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put in the comments, ask the questions. I want to help you grow your business. I help thousands of people start and grow Christmas light businesses year after year, and it is really cool to see what people can do. So with that, we'll get started here. AI Wave is real. AI is a massive thing. We should all be listening to it. And it is going to change a lot of how it is. Because some of these old dogs that have been doing this for years have done very well in the rankings, may not do so good in the rankings when we start getting into the new AI mode for Google. And I will tell you that ChatGPT doesn't usually pull from Google. So I'm going to tell you another little hint. This is the reason why you should have your Yelp, because it does pull from Yelp and sites like that. And yes, I hate Yelp as much as you hate it. So let's get this show on the road. Let's get this thing started here. And I don't like that picture. We're going to go back to this other picture. I like this other picture better. It's a prettier house. So one of the first things that we need for our Christmas light business is the bulbs. So yes, you can buy cheap C9 bulbs that look like this on a mini that looks like crap, but that's not how we want to install our lights. So on this house here is all C7s or C9s. You can use C9s. The C9s work really good. You can also use C7s. A lot of people in Utah use C7s. I know other places that use C7s. Now, you might say, what is the difference between a C7 and a C9? And I tried to find one here and I couldn't. I had tried to dig. A C7 bulb is going to be about this big versus the C9 bulb is this big. Also on a C7 versus a C9 bulb, the base is smaller. So this won't screw into a C7 socket. Now, you might say, well, which one do I want to use? And I will say it is up to you. The C7 bulb is a little bit smaller. It's a lot lighter. And so it is something that you can do it that way of doing the C7 bulb. But and some people will say, well, this is a bigger bulb. And this is what I will say. The C7 bulb is actually brighter than the C9 bulb. And I know you might not agree with it, but here's why. The C9 bulb has all of this bulb that it has to light up, where the C7 bulb is a little bit shorter and smaller, and it's a lot less has to bright up, and it's actually brighter. I've actually put them on a house, and the C7s are actually brighter than the C9 bulbs. So one of the things that you might run into is a customer might want the big bulb look. And that's the difference between the C9s versus the C7s. There's not a lot of cost difference between the two. It's just a matter of which bulb do you want. Now, I will say one thing is this. The C7s weigh, for storage wise, is a lot less. 500 feet of C9 bulbs is a full trash can. 500 feet of C7s is a third of the space. Again, Josie puts C9s are the bigger in Texas because by God, everything is big in Texas. So that is the difference between the C9 versus C7. So this is the first thing that is going to make your life a lot easier hanging these Christmas lights. Next thing is the socket wire. This is the socket wire right here. It has males and females on it, and we can make them and put them anywhere where we want to put them at. And this is what the bulb screws into. So the bulb just goes in and screws in. And so this is how we put our bulb together. We can put any colors that we want. We can put any, we can do all red, all white. I don't know what happened, but I just lost my my green screen. So that is how, I've added like 150 new scenes on here. Whatever I did, I pushed a button. Quit that. Quit that. It added a bunch of scenes on me. So that is how we can do this for the bulbs, right? This is how we can use the bulbs for this. So this is the socket wire right here. Let me move my keyboard out of the way so I quit hitting buttons. So this is the socket wire. Now, you can get it in different lengths. And what I mean by length is how far each bulb is. You can get it in 12-inch. You can get it in 15-inch. You can get it in 18-inch. You can get it in 24-inch. You can get it in 36-inch. You can get it in 6-inch. What I will say is that most people, you can use 12-inch. You can use 15-inch. It doesn't really matter. You're not going to tell the difference between 12 or 15 inches. Now, 15 inches, here's the reason why I personally like 15 inches. It's not because it's cheaper. It's because it's safer. Because I want less hanging over a roof the more that I can, right? I don't want to be having my employees hanging off of the roof. And what do I mean by this? Every 15 inches, that means every 100 feet, I only have to put 80 bulbs on. I don't have to reach over that roof 100 times. So the safety factor alone is why I would do 15 inch. And I've got a picture around here, I actually didn't bring it up today, on a house that you can't tell the difference where 15 versus 12 inches are. They're all on the same house, they're on the same line, and you can't tell a difference between 12 inch and 15 inches. And that is why my safety concern is I don't want people reaching over more than I have to. Yes, it's going to save you a little bit, but that is something that I highly recommend of why you do 15 inch over 12 inches. Again, it's up to you. You can pick it, whatever you want to choose, and that is how you can do that. Now, the other thing about this here is the wire size. So you have SPT1 versus SPT2. The only difference between SPT1 and SPT2 is the insulation on the outside of the wire. The wire is still 18 gauge wire. The wire gauge does not change. When I first started hanging Christmas lights, I was taught that SPT1 would do 7 amps and SPT2 would do 10 amps. And that's a lie. Because the reason why that's a lie is you can only shove so much electric down a wire. Now, you can put 10 amps on SPT1 and it's probably going to burn up. And some of it depends on how far you're out. That is the other thing that is the factor of this. One of the things that I would say is not all wire is equal. If you buy cheap wire and cheap socket wire, the sockets will fall off. You'll have issues with the sockets being where it won't get a good thing. And so that is why I like to buy my lights at christmaslight.io, because we have the Admiral, which is a great wire that you don't have to worry about issues with the wire. So that is the wire that we have. The next thing is the side. So we talked about extension wires, right? So we can get these here that you can get it in different colors. You can get it in white. And so this is how we make our own extension cords, is by doing it with here. And then this is the next thing is our males and females. And so basically our females, we can just stick it in the hole, put a cap on it, and now we have an amazing extension cord at the end of the day. So that's all we need for extension cords. We don't need nothing else for extension cords other than our males and females. Again, extension cord comes in SPT1 and SPT2. One of the reasons why you might have to use SPT2 is for my Canadian friends. You guys up north, a lot of you all will need to use SPT2 because it's very cold and very harsh elements. You know, one of the things that I heard the other day, and I do not agree with this at all, is one reason why you would use SPT2 is if you're going to leave this stuff up all year long. And that is not a good idea to do at all. This stuff is not designed, none of these lights are designed to put up more than 90 days. And the reason why that is if you put this stuff up more than 90 days, you're going to take the liability of something happens to that house, something happens to that business. Because by the electrical code, you're only allowed, if we go more than 90 days, then it becomes permanent lighting. And permanent lighting, you're not allowed to cut and put stuff on like this. And so that's why we don't want to do it. The reason why we're able to do it with permanent lighting itself is because it is under 48 volts. This is not under 48 volts. This is 120. So that's why it is. Paul put, cheap socket wire, tight connections are horrible and sockets crack. Yeah, and talking about sockets crack, they will crack. Don't step on them because that will also make them crack too. So, when different customers want different, how should I go about buying bulbs? That's a great question. Most people want warm white. That is what you will get 90% of the time is warm white. So if they want color, you order that separate when they come in. Or if you want to buy some multicolor, or some people I know will do this color, and this color. Like they'll do candy cane, they'll do the red, green, white. They'll do different things like that, and that's what they'll have. They'll do 222, whatever it is. But most people will do warm white. You will see that probably 80 to 90% of people are going to do warm white. Now, some of that will depend on what you want and what you install. The next thing that we're going to talk about is clips. These are clips. Now, there is different types of clips that you can get, but in the end, you can do 95% of your installs with one clip, and that is the best clip. That's what this clip is called, is the best clip. Again, you can get it at christmaslight.io. Basically, what this is going to do is we're just going to put this on here like so. We're going to screw this on. This will slide right underneath the gutter and point them out. Or what we can do too is we will slide this under the shingle and they will point up. In the old days, we used to point these down because when the first LED come out, you couldn't look into, unless you were looking at a bulb, you couldn't see the light. But now there's a nice element in there that will allow that bulb to give a nice glow, whether it's pointing up or pointing out. And so that is how we can do that. Now, there is some people that want them all pointed out, and that's where we can get into a shingle clip. A shingle clip will do the same thing, and this way they will point out, and this way we can point them out that way also. So that is the shingle clip. Now, one thing I will say, and yes, I'm using this picture here, is I usually tell people not to do windows. And here's why. Because you can do a lot, it takes a lot of work to do windows. This house here took them almost 12 hours to do this house with all the lights on the windows and the sides of the house and the whole 9 yards. And 3 days later, they came back and spent another hour because 3 of the windows had fallen off. Or you could have did outline the roof, did some bottom ground, and it still would have looked good. So I'm not a hot glue guy. I know a lot of people have damaged stuff with hot glue. I've never used a hot glue gun. I've installed thousands of lights and houses and never used a glue gun one time. This is the only house I've ever been at that has used the glue gun, and I was actually just taking pictures of this here. This is a friend of mine, Jeremy, out of Richmond, Indiana. There is a nice little tool here that if you want to do windows, you can take the paint off or take the 3M sticker here, and you got to clean around the window or the plastic really, really good. You want to use an alcohol to clean it, otherwise these won't stick either. And basically you can put these on. You can get these in different colors. You can get it in brown. You can get it in white. And at the end of the year, you will take this off and this can stay up on the window. And then next year when you come back, you can put it back on the window at there. So that is the other type of clip. Here is stake lighting. This is what this is all along here. I personally love stake lighting. I think it's a great asset to raise your prices, right? It's a great way to get more footage on a house. You got 2 different types here. Now, I'm going to tell you the type I like versus the type that I don't like. So we used to use these a bunch, the ones here, and here's the problem with these. So they work great for putting them in the ground. You just slide them up on there and just slide it up on there, and it pops right on there, and they sit perfectly. Here's the problem with these. When you come back in January and the ground's frozen and you start popping them off here, it will break one of the ears off. It's happened several times. It breaks the ears off. It's cold and they break the ears off pretty easy. So there's another clip that's the best clip. Again, it's the best light strip clip. And basically you can just slide this in there and you can put this on there, and now you got the socket that will do it that way. And then one last way to do something here for a clip, because I'm just going over all the clips, is basically the ridge clip. Again, you put this on the ridge and it's going to sit up there. You can put this on here. You slide this in again, like so. Just slide it in there. And then you just put the socket on there. And this here is how you can do ridge clips. I know I got in an argument this week about not using ridge clips and just using these clips if you're only going to see it from one side. The problem with these are they work great. They almost work too great because you can't pull these back down without getting back up on the roof. And if you use these types of clips and just slide it up underneath the shingle, I can pull every one of these lights down in 10 minutes and be done with this house. If I'm using this, I got to go get a ladder out. I got to climb back up on the roof. Might not be safe. Might have to get pitch hoppers out. Might have to get the goat out. And so that's the only thing I'm going to say about it. Again, they work great and they look good, but that is the problem about it. Christmas. So that is the next thing that we have. All right. So we talked about clips. We talked about bulbs. We talked about the wire, the socket wire, and males and females. So that right there is pretty much everything you need to hang Christmas lights. Now, there is other things that you can use like wreaths and garland and, spritzers. Oh, I had one other thing here. And then the last thing is mini lights. Mini lights go on bushes. Now, on this house here, he could have put mini lights on all of those bushes because they did look really amazing. But honestly, the lights on the ground looked better than if he would have did the bushes. So, and that's what I've watched as I've watched minis and stuff. So you can use minis. Obviously, we got to use them in trees and stuff like that. But it is important that we make sure that we are using the right equipment. Because yes, you can use cheap equipment and it's going to be the thing that you're going to hate the most. The reason why I like the best clip here is because of the plastic. I did a demo, or I did a test on my house, and I had the Christmas lights up for almost 4 years. 4 years. I just took them down. And only one clip broke out of 4 years. If you would have used any other clip, they would have all fallen apart in that 4-year period. And I know, but I wanted to see what it would do with the bulbs and everything like that. But in 4 years, these clips, I only had one clip break out of it. And that's why, and that's 4 years in the sun and cold and just left up there. That's not me taking it up and down. That's me putting them up, and they were stayed up for 4 years. And the one that got broke because a soccer ball had hit it at some time. So that's why I personally like the best clips. They're flexible. They don't break. I can pull them all the way back. They don't break. And that is why I like the best clip here. And again, you can go to christmaslight.io, and I have partnered up with Lights at Wholesale. And so when you buy from my site, you help support my channel and I help bring you more information. And so if you like to help me, that is a way that you can help me also. So let's talk about one other thing here. Right now, with all these tariffs and stuff, I was actually listening to Jason Woodward, and he was talking about the tariffs. He just did another video the other day about it. And it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen with the side of how the product is going to be coming this year. Because it's already going to be higher, because they said they got rid of the high dollar tariff, but they've actually already added 30% tariff. And he showed how they did it. And so it's already going to be higher a little bit than what originally was. So if you want the best pricing for Christmas lights, you go to christmaslight.io. They haven't raised their prices yet this year, but I will say they probably will by the end when these tariffs start hitting. And it's only on a 90-day pause. So if it goes one way or the other, could be an issue of what the prices might do. But here's the deal. Yes, prices might go up. But if you know how to charge, and if you're charging properly, it's not going to hurt you to go up a little bit more. If you're a $4 to $6 a foot guy, it's going to be hard on you to buy new lights this year. If you're charging the $8 to $12 to $14 a foot, and yes, you can get that much. I got Paul here that's getting that. I've got Daniel here that's getting that. I've got other people in here that is getting that. And this is something that you can do that it's not going to hurt you as bad because you're already charging enough. But if you're at the cheap guy, and guess what? I know everybody tells me that you just can't get that in my area. Well, I want to tell you something, right? Paul Gardner. I know he has $4 and $6 guys in his area, but he doesn't focus on those jobs. He doesn't focus on those people. Because when you let your mind focus on a competitor that much that you're worried about everything that he's doing and how much he's charging, you're not focusing on your business. You're not focusing on your customer. You're not focusing on you. How can you get better? How can you close more sales? Well, I'm going to lower my prices. Okay. How are you going to lower your prices and close more jobs? Doesn't mean that you're going to make more money. In fact, you're going to do more work and make less money. That's not the goal here. The goal here is to make profit while you're not working or while you're not installing. Because if you are installing, that means you're doing a $20 an hour task. If you're working on yourself to learn how to sell better, to learn how to grow your business and not focus on your neighbor over here or your competitor over here, it's going to work out a lot better for you. How do we start doing that? A lot of it is the words that we use. If you say you can't get that in your area, you're right. You're 100% right. You can't get that in your area. And so one thing I want to challenge you, this is the challenge I want to give you. Take can't out of your vocabulary. Don't ever use can't again. Because when you use negative words, you're telling your brain that you can't do something. And that is the worst thing that you can do. Because there's nothing special about people hitting 7 figures in this business. Nothing. They put their pants on the same way you do. They put their clothes on the same way you do. It's just they know how to speak differently, and they know how to talk differently to themselves. Because if you don't talk to yourself and be positive, I was on the phone this week with Ron. Ron is a good friend of mine. We went to Utah. I've known him for a couple years now. And Ron said he went a whole year of not saying nothing negative, only positive. And it changed his life. Because when you stop talking negative and you start talking positive and you find the positive in the worst moments ever, it's going to change the way you believe and the way you think. If you think you can't do something, you're 100% right. And I know that so doesn't sound right. And I know some people are going to say, Jason, it's just the woo-woo stuff. But I promise you, it works. It works amazingly. And that's why I'm telling you this. Because when I do coaching calls, a lot of it isn't overcoming some big thing. A lot of it is overcoming the 6 inches between your ears. That's what you have to overcome. How do I overcome the 6 inches between your ears? Because when you start believing and you start seeing, the reason why I push this book so much is it's so important that if you don't have faith, if you don't have belief, if you can't see it, you're not going to believe it. And it is so true of why you need to read this book 3 times a year, 4 times a year. Paul here is the one that told me to read it more, and I did. And you should too, because it's very important that you start understanding this, because it is amazing what can happen when you start seeing and believing. Here's one other thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to push my class because I'm going to push it. ChristmasLights.io/IPT for in-person class. Get around other successful businesses. If you don't ever get around other successful business, I don't even care if you don't come to the class. But if you come to this class, I know 2 or 3 7-figure businesses that are going to be there. And it's amazing what happens when you get around other successful people. My last Christmas light class, I had 2 7-figure businesses and one that going to hit it this year. And we had lots of people that were doing 6-figure businesses. Pretty much everyone there was doing 6-figure businesses. And it's amazing how the mindsets are different when you're around people that are like where you want to be at. So if you want to be a 6-figure business, if you want to be a 7-figure business, get around other 7-figure businesses. Now, if you want to be an 8-figure business, get around other 8-figure businesses. And sometimes people are like, there's no way. There is a way. You're right if you say that there's no way. There is a way that you can do 8-figure business, 7-figure business, $1 million, 10 million, anything in between, 100 million. But what I will say is to get in those rooms, 9 times out of 10, you don't get there on free. And because here's the thing, I have given Christmas light classes away for free. And 1, they don't show up, or 2, they don't take action. And that is the worst thing that you can do, is not take action. Is growing a Christmas light business hard? Yes, it is. It's not easy, but it's not impossible either. And that is why you want to be able to start to grow your business. And the number one thing to start growing your business is taking action. You know, I have a friend, Connor, and he started posting on Facebook every day, 2-3 times a day. And guess what? He's starting to get all kinds of leads off of Facebook. And it's just amazing that I remember last year he was like, I'm struggling to get leads. And it's like, just post. But I don't want to go live. I'm scared. Fear, the only thing that I want fear for is so you don't fall off the roof. The fear of you not speaking, the fear of you not wanting to grow because you're afraid the way your voice sounds, the way you look, is just going to hold you back. I personally, in the past, didn't like my voice. I did not like my voice in the past. But you know what? It's one of those things that I help you guys grow businesses. Daniel is going to hit $1 million this year. I'm going to speak it into existence. Because, you know, when he started this, he was on vacation, don't have any other business, and he started a business of thought he would do Christmas lights. First year out of the gate, did $179,000. Year one. Year two, over $500,000. Year three, he's going to hit over $1 million. Is there anything special about Daniel? No, he's a soccer coach. Played professional soccer for a while. Not long. His dad actually was a professional soccer. But I think the most important thing to do is put your trust and faith in the Lord, to have the gratitude and treat others how you want to be treated, and smile. And I will say that there is probably one of the best two things that you can say, right? Best thing you can say. Because when you smile and answer that phone, when you smile in front of those customers and talk about how amazing that Christmas light job is going to be, and when them grandkids come over, how happy they're going to be to see Granny's house, it's amazing what happens. We're not selling bulbs. We're not selling bulbs at all. That's the last thing we're going to sell is bulbs. We're going to sell the magic of Christmas. And when you sell the magic of Christmas, it is literally magical. Come on, he is special. And you're right, he is special. He's special from Scotland. So, with that, what questions do you all have? Do you have any questions? While you're thinking about questions, I want to talk about a couple things here. Again, if you want to go to meet Jeremy and Jennifer Main at Pink Pro Wash up in Michigan, I'm going to have a class coming up in June. It's going to be a great class. It's going to be an awesome class. If you want to know when I go live on Christmas lights, if you want to know when I give more lives, you can check out Light, text Light, L-I-T-E. Just text it to 855-619-5483. And that is where you can get that. And then one last thing is I'm giving away $500. That is right. I'm going to give away one lucky winner of $500. So there was a contest. I didn't even know about the contest, and I won the contest at UZ Marketing. UZ Marketing gave me a $500 credit that I can give away to someone, and so, or I could use it myself. And I decided that I wanted to give it away because I want to help you guys grow your business. I want to help you guys get to 6 figures. And yes, you can get to 6 figures in 1 year. It's amazing. I've seen several people do it. I've seen probably 30 people do it that I know personally that has hit $100,000 in 1 year. And I know probably 10 to 15 of those did it in their first year. So this is something that I'm giving away. It's $500. You can use it for yard signs. You can use it for print, whatever you want. I would tell you that I would probably use it in yard signs because that works the best that I know of, and yard signs are awesome. So definitely check that out. I started a pressure washing business about 6 months ago, and I'm having trouble closing jobs. So, I guess the first question, are you doing in-person sales or are you doing online sales? Would be my first question to you. Because it is going to be a little different whether you are doing in-person or online. If you're doing online jobs, do you have a website and your social media that is answering a lot of your customers' questions before they ever call you? And here's the thing. When we're selling pressure washing, again, we need to know what their pain point is. A lot of times we will start yakking about the house and the soft washing and all of that stuff versus why are they calling you in the first place? Whether we're doing it in person or online. If they're calling you because their wife is nagging them, then we can answer that question for them to help them quit getting nagged. Or maybe they are doing something that their insurance company is going to cancel them. So that's a good reason to know versus we use soft wash, blah, 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 blah. For Christmas lights, it's the same thing at the end of the day. We are selling magic and we're selling memories. And, you know, I sent an email out, and some of you may have gotten an email today about buy back your time. And most of these customers are buying back their time. They want to go spend time with their kids. They want to go spend time with their grandkids. They want to go play golf. They don't want to hear a nagging wife. And so this is why they buy back their time, just like we are buying back our time by doing things. Hopefully that makes sense. Was thinking about getting a small retail store in September. Do you think that this would help? It's right in the middle of my service area, and I could actually get it pretty cheap because I can do Christmas lights for the owner. So I have thoughts on this. You could, and that will help you if it's close to your service area, especially if you're pretty far away from your service areas. There are some other ways that you can do this too. And sometimes they're going to cost you and sometimes they're not. But here's the thing. If you're going to do it, don't wait till September. September is going to be too late by then. So if you're going to get a spot, if you can get a spot, and even if you got to pay a couple $100 or $200 a month to be able to get an address there, that is all you need at the end of the day. Because once you get the address there, you're not going to start filling out your Google business first. You're going to you're going to have a page on your website about the new location, and you're going to have a page on your website about that city, and you're going to have a page you're going to have its own phone number. And that way, when you go to do this, then you're going to start doing some YouTube videos talking about it with the name, address, phone number. You're going to do some Twitter with it. You're going to do a Facebook page with it. You're going to do a LinkedIn page with it. And basically, we're showing all of these signals to Google, and we're going to give it about a month or two, and Google will probably pick that up and say, hey, is this a location? Then all you got to do is go claim it. And that's how you can get to doing a location, to be able to do that. So that's something that I would, if you're going to do it, don't do it in September. You need to do it now. So that way you can start posting on it. You can start putting pictures on it, and you can start making that thing work really well at the end of it. Google Ads or Facebook? And one other thing is you don't need a retail space for this. There's some other ways that you can do it. You can do it with a co-space, but that's a little tricky of what you got to do. Google Ads or Facebook ads? So with Christmas lights, I really like the Facebook ads better than the Google ads. Now, last year, Facebook ads definitely did better than Google ads. Also, Google ads do work, but it really will depend on how big your area is. If you have a smaller area, Google ads might not work as good. Now, depending on when this new Google AI comes out, that's going to change. That could change it too, but that is definitely there. I would put my money into ads, yard signs, and wraps before a retail space. Yeah, like I said, the only reason why I would consider doing that, if you can get it cheap, is a good Google My Business location with some 5-star reviews will take off really, really well. It's not like pressure washing where every Tom, Dick, and Harry has a Google My Business. In fact, most Christmas light companies don't have a Google My Business. They will have it for a pressure washing business or whatever their first business, but they will struggle or won't get it for that. I can look in my area right now and I can find hundreds of pressure washing companies. But Christmas light install companies, you will find less than you will at the end of the day. So that is what I've done for research. That's what I've seen. And I mean, even my buddy DJ doesn't have a Google business for Christmas lights. There's very few Christmas light ones versus any other service out there. So, what other questions do you all have? Any other questions? You know, one of the things I will say, and the reason why I went to ChristmasLight.io to sell for ChristmasLight.io is this right here. They have the best customer service ever. If you call them, they will answer the phone, and not only answer the phone, they will ship it out the same day. Even in the busy season, Lights at Wholesale has the best shipping out there. And now that we have 3-4 different places to ship out of, you will get your stuff within 1 to 2 days once you order it. If you order $10,000 worth of stuff, $10,000 worth of stuff will get shipped out that day. That is the difference between any other company out there. You will not find that anywhere else. You know, one of the things that makes it so good is Dustin's brother gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning and starts shipping out stuff. And he leaves at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm not even joking about this. He will literally stay there and sleep 3 or 4 hours and get back to do it. And so that is why I use Lights at Wholesale and sell for it. So if you need anything, definitely go check out ChristmasLight.io. Take the S off. Don't put the S on it. It'll take you to where you need to go at. And go buy you some lights. Do Christmas lights look brighter and better than permanent lights? It's an opinion. Yes, I would agree. One of the reasons why I mean, Invisilights are definitely brighter than other brands out there because I've tested them. I've got pictures of before and afters of one versus the other. And so they are very bright. In fact, they might even be brighter than Christmas lights. But the one thing you don't have is you don't have that look of that bulb. And that's why a lot of people will stick with C9s, because of the look of the bulb. It's not because they're not brighter. You know, I can sell you on the lights that they're brighter. The C7s are brighter than the C9s. You just don't get that big bulb look. Permanent lights suck. They look tacky. And everyone has an opinion at the end of the day. We all got opinions, and everybody has an opinion. Now, I want to talk about, since there's not many questions coming in here, I want to talk about one more thing. I am getting a new shop, and it is going to be the best Christmas light install training center in the country, because I'm going to say that it is. And I am going to have all kinds of trainings with Christmas lights, and I'm going to start having some more pressure washing classes in it also. But I'm going to build a house in it, a small mock-up house, so that way you'll see how to do stuff. I'm going to build a mock-up roof, so you'll know how to install anchors if you want to install anchors on a roof, and how to talk about safety. I have lots of trees here, so we're going to do some knot tying, so that way you can understand how to tie off if you have trees or a vehicle, so that way you can be safer. This year, one of the things that I've seen that I don't want to see this year, that I saw last year, is way too many people dying or falling off a roof and breaking stuff. I don't want to see that again this year. It is not good to see my fellow Christmas light installers fall to their death. David Watt was one that did last year. David Watt was a man that would do anything for anybody. And he's not here no more. And I don't want to see that happen again this year. You know, there was a guy in the group, he fell off the roof, and the guy on the roof filming him and laughing at him. There is no laughing matter of someone falling off a roof. Zero. Because there is no amount of money worth you having a person falling off the roof because they're untrained, because they don't know, because you do something stupid. It's one of the things that happens. And it doesn't even have to be a falling off the roof. I've got a guy that had a water-fed pole that lost his leg because it blew his leg off of him. And he blew him out of his shoes when his water-fed pole hit electric line. And that could be prevented. I've seen ladders hit electric lines and kill people. It happens. It's not cool. It's not worth it. So there is one thing I've been pushing in my classes more is safety. You know, people think that it's just right? It's just a bulb in this. It's just a bulb in here, just a bulb in a socket. Did you know 120, just 120 outlet can kill you? If it goes in one arm, goes across your heart, comes out your hand or your foot, it can literally kill you. Just 120. Cutting it, doing something stupid, touching it, where it comes in one end and out the other, it can kill you. So it's important to understand safety. Safety is key. Safety is a mindset. I can just do it. It's just one little bit further. There's too many people have died in the last few years from not being safe. And I don't want you to be that next person. So learn it. Don't go cheap on it. Get pitch hoppers. Get goats. Get anchor systems. Do it. It's worth it. It's worth you, and it's worth it for your family. Because if you fall off a roof and die, I don't care if you charge $100 a bulb. It doesn't mean nothing at that point. Absolutely nothing. So that is why I want to hit on this really hard, because I feel like more and more people are getting into the Christmas light business. And here's the thing. I was a fireman. And firemen today ain't firemen what they were years ago. And this is what I mean. Firemen back in the day were people of trades. They were electricians, they were plumbers, they were different people. Firemen today, this is 5 years ago. This isn't even recent. This was 5 years ago. We had 2 guys start on the fire department. One had never mowed grass in his entire life. He had never started a chainsaw in his entire life. He had never started a weed eater. He had never started anything with a motor other than his car. But yet, I'm going to give him a chainsaw on a ladder, on a roof, and think that's okay. This is what I'm getting at, is sometimes we need common sense to understand what can happen. And that is why I'm letting you know. That's why I said, when you're up on this roof, fear is not a bad thing. Fear will keep you safe up on this roof. If you think you're a macho man and you just get going, you never know when that shingle is going to break out from underneath of you. You never know when that roof may be rotten underneath of you. And it could be. And that is why safety in this year I want to push really, really hard. So with that, go check out christmaslights.io. If you want to do the in-person training, christmaslights.io/IPT. Be safe this year. Don't do stupid stuff. Other than that, I'll see you in my next video. See you later.